The Seven Sisters' domination of post-war world oil trade and supply fueled resentment. As early as the 1950s, popular movements in the Middle East had tried to expel Western companies. Western governments went to great lengths to defend their interests. In 1953, Britain and the US organised a coup in Iran, ousting Mohammad Mossadegh, the Prime Minister who had overseen the 1951 nationalisation of British oil company Anglo-Iranian. The coup temporarily preserved the tenuous grip on power of Iran's pro-Western Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. For Europe and North America, this yielded security of oil supplies for a time, but it also amplified distrust of Western involvement in the region.
During the 1960s and the 1970s, the Middle East's big resource-owning countries, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, and Kuwait, seized control of their oil industries, forming the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, a cartel created to protect their interests that included a fifth founding member, Venezuela. They were joined in the 1960s by Qatar, Indonesia, Libya, the United Arab Emirates, and Algeria, and by Nigeria in the 1970s. The 12-member group now also includes Ecuador and Angola.
Western oil companies were suddenly on the wrong side of history. Even the Shah was talking openly of the end of the West's economic imperialism.
When our present contract is finished, the best thing that could happen is that we, producing countries, or owners of that underground wealth, which unfortunately one day is going to finish, the best way is that we produce it ourselves.
OPEC's new power over the oil market became clear in 1973 when war broke out between Israel and the Arab states. The Arab members of OPEC halted oil supplies to countries supporting Israel, the US and Western Europe, and oil prices quadrupled, causing fuel shortages and helping tip the Western economies into a deep recession.
1973 dramatized U.S. dependence on foreign oil. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries imposed its boycott and within a year raised prices more than 300%.
6 years later, in 1979, a revolution in Iran deposed the Shah and installed Ayatollah Khomeini. Riding a wave of popular support, he expelled Western oil firms from the country. Iran's oil production fell drastically, spiking global oil prices once again. A brutal war between Iraq and Iran, both major oil producers, stripped even more oil from world supplies.
These events badly bruised consumer economies over-reliant on imported oil, and some were prepared to ration its use. In 1977, clad in a sweater, American President Jimmy Carter had warned Americans of the risks of oil shortages and advised them to conserve their energy.
There's no way that I or anyone else in the government can solve our energy problems if you are not willing to help. I know that we can meet this energy challenge if the burden is borne fairly among all our people, and if we realize that in order to solve our energy problems, we need not sacrifice the quality of our lives.
Meanwhile, finding alternative supplies of oil had become of paramount importance. The UK's North Sea emerged as an important new oil region.
But as the early 1980s wore on, some of the biggest producers began to suffer from the drop in demand for their product. The creaking Soviet economy, which relied on oil exports to keep afloat, went into terminal decline, a crucial factor in the end of the Cold War and the breakup of the USSR.